it exactly that we are trying to accomplish in establishing or revising these policies and procedures? Well, first off, we're, of course, trying to comply with laws, regulations, and policies. And, of course, we're trying to avoid noncompliance because that can come with serious consequences. We are trying to show through our policies and procedures that we're following the letter of the law or that we're following our sponsoring agency policy, and we demonstrate that through these written policies and procedures. So a couple of examples, closeout requirements. So there's been a lot of attention paid at the federal government level to closeout, and this is done because federal government agencies have had these large balances just sitting out there. And so first off, we want to be sure that any funding that's allocated to a grantee is being used for the purpose for which it was allocated. And if for some reason it's not, then these federal government agencies would like to try to repurpose those monies. So closeout, because of the pressure that federal agencies are experiencing, we as institutions, as recipients of their funds, are experiencing the pressure as well. And so over the last several years, Wisconsin has been working to improve our procedures and our guidance related to closeout. We've been issuing warning emails prior to those project end dates, and we have administrative checklists available to ensure that we are doing things like a final review of expenses to make sure that everything's appropriate, that effort and cost share commitments are met, that there are no outstanding cost transfers, things like that. Another example is public access requirements. Now, we are all familiar with these initially because of NIH's policy that publications be made publicly available. But we've seen that OSTP has expanded that requirement to other federal agencies, and now even private sponsors have public access requirements. So the important thing with public access requirements for us to know, to be aware of, is that if we're non-compliant with these requirements, that has the potential to impact the receipt of future grants. So we absolutely need to be aware of the mechanisms for compliance with those requirements. Another thing that we're trying to accomplish in establishing or revising policies and procedures is ensuring that those appropriate internal controls are in place. And the example that I'll put out there is subrecipient monitoring and management. So when the uniform guidance came out, it included many obligations related to subawards. We had to do a subrecipient versus contractor determination. We had to perform a risk assessment. We had to make sure that we're paying proper invoices in a timely fashion. And here, like at many institutions, doing all of these things requires many different offices and collaboration and cooperation across these offices. So we need to make sure that our pre- and post-award offices, that our purchasing department, that our departments and divisions, that our faculty members, that our accounts payable office understand who's responsible for what in terms of what pieces of the regulations we're addressing. And ultimately, what we're trying to do, Jeff mentioned earlier, internal controls, we're trying to ensure that we successfully complete the objectives of that subaward project. And what we need to do is be sure that all of these different pieces are working together as a whole to be effective and to be compliant.